Hello, yellow post-it note.
Oh, I thought I might make you pink today, but I thought, no, keep it yellow.
No, change is preferable, Janet. Keeps it
Okay.
interesting.
I thought if it was yellow, you'd know it was me. It's just...
Yeah, your name at the bottom of the screen gives it away.
Is that a hint? Oh, yeah.
Absolute disaster. Janet, the Masters has been rained off.
Is that golf?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
looking forward to watching the Masters for the next few days, and then it's been rained off. Evening, Jeff. Evening, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Peter. I'm fine, thanks.
Very good. Did you get my email response regarding the Constitution?
Yeah, I've just looked at it. I've just sent it back saying no problem. I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, I don't get alerts on my Gmail, Jeff, so
All right.
it depends on when I go and get them. You know.
Try and remember that. I'm never sure which
Yeah.
one to send it.
Well, it just pops up, doesn't it? When you'll start typing Peter and it'll pop up. I know what it's like. Janet said there were more at the War Memorial yesterday than there were on Sunday.
Yeah. I went down there. I wasn't actually there when everybody else was there. But I always like to go down just to have a couple of minutes. But yeah, I don't fully, to be honest, I don't fully agree with the government's decision not to allow these to go ahead. I mean, if they're outdoors, as long as you're keeping a couple of meters away, I can't see a big problem with it. I mean, you're more in danger going to the supermarket, to be honest. But it is what it is.
I would tend to agree.
Strange times.
I would tend to agree.
Hello, Linda.
Hi, Jeff. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Outdoors, it's relatively safe outdoors.
Yeah, as long as you keep your distance.
I don't know if I told you, Jeff. We had, if I've mentioned, Jeff, we had one of the lady footballers had COVID and played with it without realising.
Oh,
And she was actually sat on the bench with substitutes,
right.
played a game, and she didn't transmit it to one single person.
No.
You know,
Be different if they'd been
outside.
sat inside. Yeah.
Yeah,
It deteriorates in UV light.
Yeah.
not much of
And
that here.
I was reading a thing a couple of minutes ago. You've got to get a dose of it. You know, a couple of dozen bits is not. That's why it doesn't really transmit outside. A couple of dozen bits floating in the air is not going to do it. You need to get a good dose, which you can only really get if you're out indoors, close to someone. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll have a effective vaccine in the next few months and we can all put it behind us until the next one.
Hi, Jeff,
Hi, Sue.
Peter, Linda.
Evening.
Are you well?
Am I well?
Yes.
Been on my feet all day cooking and I don't like cooking stuff.
All right.
I've got some very nice neighbours up the road who gave me an enormous bag of apples. And you can't say no, can you? Beautiful cooking apples. So I've been baking all day.
We give them to the neighbour because Sarah, our neighbour, she has 5 kids and she's forever baking and she makes loads of apple pies and stuff. So we give her all our apples because we hardly ever use them. I've got 1, 2, 3 apple trees in my back garden and I've had tons of apples this year.
Well,
I was in the garden today and I was actually walking on the apples.
oh, that's
Just
a
lying everywhere.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we had an orchard and we had 11, 10 apple trees, can't remember how many. And my dad used to go mad trying to give them away to people. People would dodge out of his way when he walked into work with the bags in his hands.
We had 4 in our last garden and Dave used to make cider.
Mm.
That sounds good.
How many
Oh.
apples do you need to
My
make?
sister's just bought a press from Amazon. And she says it's excellent. You put your apples in and it does its thing and it presses all this juice out and she's
Yeah.
drinking fresh apple juice. So I thought I might do that next year.
Well, I've got
Not
a
too
little,
late this year, but next year I think I might get a press.
we've got a little press if you want to borrow it. What we used to do was freeze the apples first. That made them softer and easier to press.
Right.
Mm.
We used to put them in the freezer for just until they were frozen and then get them out and defrost them. And then because it breaks them up a bit.
Mushy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
How are you, Linda?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah,
Very
okay.
good. John, you okay?
I'm okay, thanks. Yes,
Hi,
Good.
John.
just got over a load of decorating, but still, there you go.
Oh, you can
The
come
project
to my
of the
house
week.
next.
You have to have a project every week, you see,
Oh,
even if it didn't need doing.
we were on the beach first thing this morning.
Oh.
At Almath. It was beautiful. We had
Many
some blue
people?
sky, about 20 people and their dogs.
Yeah,
The tide was out, so you had this enormous
yes.
beach.
it
and
is
beautiful,
good, isn't it?
Great big patterns in the sky. It was lovely.
Yeah, lovely, it is.
Evening, Gordon.
Good evening, everybody. Can I
Good
be
evening.
heard? Thank
Can't
you.
see you. Evening, Gordon.
Good evening.
Thank you for your support this week.
Oh, on Mr. You Know Who.
Yes.
Well, he can get a brush and shovel out and clear it up himself. That's my view, however. I'll mention it.
Evening, Mr. Grisdale.
Hello,
How are you?
Hello.
how am I? Oh, all right.
Hi, Martin.
Bonjour,
Hi there.
mes amis.
Hi,
Martin
Oh,
is-
bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, mes amis.
I'll turn you up a bit. I can hear you better.
Comment allez-vous?
Oh, what? I'm still Bill.
That's my sum total of French.
See, Bill Drysdale there's got a nice wave on his hair.
Oh, he's been putting rollers in, Marty.
Yeah,
You?
the new look.
See, that has been in the wind today.
It's Coronation Street.
At least there's no Grecian 2000.
Nope,
Not yet.
not yet. I'm not that desperate. I thought you wanted the.
Yes, I do. Don't do that.
I think put it on the keyboard.
Oh, there's Peter Haley down in the top corner there. Hey, sitting in the
Good evening, Martin.
darkness. We're sitting in the darkness.
Yeah, it's I don't know why.
I can't see the colour of your eyes. That's worrying, you see. Can't see
That's
the colour.
deliberate.
It's the
Oh,
whites
really?
of the eyes that you have to worry about, Martin.
Yeah.
I bet he's got his shorts on underneath there, man. He's sitting with his shorts on. Maybe he's
Don't rise
not.
to it, Peter. He just wants to see.
I mean, a lot of people might be sitting with their shorts on.
Pajamas.
No, I'm
As long as
putting
the-
my bottoms.
As long as they've got shorts on, Martin, that's
I'm putting my pajama bottoms on yet. Look, still got my pants on.
We'll take your word for it.
Pants is on.
Better than nothing.
Yes.
Well, at least I'm honest. Then we'll go at 6:30. Happy days.
I think we're just waiting for the two Peters, aren't we? Is that everybody apart from Peter Edge and Peter Broom?
Is Julia in?
Julia as well.
Oh,
Janet's
Julia,
got
Miss
a high-tech piece of
and
paper
Lisa.
over her camera.
I'll have a fiddle about.
Happy days, happy days.
Got a minute.
Are you back home now, Janet? Sorry, Linda.
Yeah, back home. Came back on Saturday.
Yeah. What was the weather like up there? Was it good?
It was wet and windy the first couple of days because it was the tail end of the hurricane.
Yeah.
And then it gradually got better. And the day we left, it was absolutely glorious.
How sickening.
We managed a few walks and
Yeah.
we dodged the showers. It was just nice to
Hi,
have a
Julia.
good scene.
Hi.
Just see the top of your head, Julia.
Okay, I'll move. Oh, I'll move it.
That's better. What time did we start recording?
We're recording now.
No, was it from 6:30?
Yeah, it's 6:30 now, so we'll start and hope Peter and the two Peters can get in when they arrive. Because I don't think we've had any apologies, Peter, have we?
Councillor Simmons and potentially Councillor Wood Mitchell, who is here. Though.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the November meeting. I can't believe we're nearly through this year. Been a strange one. Item 1 is questions from the public, and I know we have one. Peter, would you like to take that on, please?
Yes, we have one. Yeah, certainly. I'll read that out. So this is from Alan and Jill Waiton. Would the council consider producing an annual report to be distributed to households and businesses in the town? It may cover the calendar year, financial year, or other 12-month period deemed appropriate. It would consist of a description of activities and achievements of the council over the last year, together with a summary of income and expenditure, and an outline of its priorities for the forthcoming year. Professionally produced and written in a lively style, the report will encourage civic engagement excuse me, with the work of the council, particularly if comments and suggestions for future work were sought. And when it becomes once more possible, the report could provide the basis for an annual open meeting in which councillors and local people could exchange their experiences of the town, its services and facilities, and aspirations for the future.
So, thank you, Peter. What are people's views on us producing an annual report? Yes, Sue Allcroft?
I think in many ways it would be a good way of informing the town what we're doing, because a lot of people don't really know much about the council at all. What it would cost us, I don't know, and the time it would take to write a report. I think it might not be a bad thing.
Anybody else got any views? Yes, Bill?
The new website will surely do everything that an annual report could do.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Lisa,
Totally agree.
Lisa,
Hi guys. Obviously, I just came in on the tail end of that, and I don't know whether it's a report or via the website, but I think what the town council does is really undervalued in the rest of the town, because a lot of people don't actually understand exactly how much it does do. So anything that communicates all the work that's involved is a positive thing.
okay, thank you. Linda Wood-Mitchell, then Martin Sunbank.
I would just agree with what Lisa said. You know, I think an annual report would be valued on the website, or even if it's just an A4 sheet or something, you know, to send out.
You, Martin Sunbank.
I think that definitely our external communications with telling people what we're doing is hugely important, and I really don't think we do enough of it. So whether it's in the form of annual report, whether it's in the form of a report every couple of months in some way, I think it would be a very good step forward for the council.
Thank you. Sue, Patience.
Yeah, I would just like to support those comments and say we did start it, didn't we, with a couple of newsletters going out during the lockdown period, the first lockdown period, and it would be good to keep that going, wouldn't it? You know, like Martin said, a couple of months, maybe once a quarter, and then finishing with an annual report at the end of it.
Thank you. John Humphreys.
Yeah, I agree with Bill that the new website should provide a lot of information, but on the other hand, perhaps we could make better use of our notice boards. Maybe we need one or two more in different parts of the town as well.
For those who arrived a bit late, this is a question from Alan and Jim Waiting, asking us to consider producing an annual report. Martin Harrington.
Thanks. It's just on the subject of what being printed unnecessarily kind of comes to mind. And this is a big thing I've got to bind with, is people producing pieces of paper that just end up in the bin. They're not relevant to all people. Some people couldn't care less. So the validation, and we've discussed here, and support, the website would be the first point, and the port of call. It could be made a highlight when you went onto the website at a certain time of the year. And then once you clicked onto that, all the information was there. And there's nothing to stop the quarterly input in the CRY effort still kicking around throughout the year. But that's my comments.
Don't mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in principle it's a good idea. I think we just have to be, I agree with Martin, I think, and we should use the new website as a vehicle for this rather than send it out to everybody, because I don't think that's a good idea, and it would cost quite a bit to do that. We've also got to just be a little bit careful, because I'm experienced in writing annual reports, and they do take an awful lot of time to get them right, and whether we have the resources to do it. But in principle, I have no problem with it. But I think we should use the website to distribute it if we do decide to do one.
Peter Haley.
Yeah, from a clerk's perspective, I'm totally supportive of the question. I think we should produce an annual report. The crucial thing for me, though, is that it is linked to our strategic decision-making processes, or potentially lack of them to a certain extent. So crucially, it needs to be linked to the budget process. So if we're going to be talking about next year's priorities, we need to make sure that we're putting a budget in place the year before to allow us to achieve those priorities. So for me, it's something that we should be thinking about introducing to our decision-making process and our budget process at this time next year, or perhaps a couple of months beforehand, to start that process off.
Yeah, sorry, I've just thought of something else as well. Rather than having the staff do the report, we could sort of get the chairs of all the committees and the groups to perhaps do a page, and that would certainly assist with resource on their particular subject.
Julia.
I think that the other benefit of doing something quarterly is that you can be both looking ahead and looking back. So it's not just a reporting
Yeah.
society, but it's also got an element of consultation built into it, which is less frustrating for people if they're coming in on things after the event. And I imagine with the new website, it might be possible to make some kind of e-bulletin set up automatic from the posts and the sharings that are going on the website, which would save a lot of extra work, and link it also into social media.
Bill Grisdale.
So I just say, with the utmost respect, the chairs of our various committees aren't necessarily the best writers in the world, and if it isn't a clear message, then it can work against you. I've done a number of reports in my time, and most of them, they're either you got to work out what they're for. Some are a legal obligation for companies which have to have an annual report, which has usually got finance in it. I doubt if ours would have a finance in it. That I do stuff for Gallery. Gallery used as a marketing thing. We don't need to market really in a sharp way. So like I said before, I think the website should have everything on it. If we do sort of bulletins, like if we do a monthly mail thing, that would do it itself. I just have to think what it's for, and it's just getting time for people to write it. You know, and you'll find that it will take a lot of work, and
Yeah, sorry, Bill. Sue Allcroft, then Gordon, and then we'll finish up with our summer.
Yeah, I like the idea of a quarterly update on the website. As a committee chair, I'd be happy to put some notes on, but I agree with Bill that it's not always the best way, because basically it's Peter and the staff who see and do they do all the work. So I think it's it would have to be almost a group of us doing it and getting the ideas of what we wanted to put in for that time. But I do think it's a good idea to do it.
Okay, thank you. Gordon.
It has to be brief, but I do agree with Bill that this is a website issue. But do be careful, because what we put on it should be agreed by the town council, unless we delegate reports to every single committee. It's either the council report, or it's a collection of committee reports or various bits and pieces, and it will vary if that's the case. We might not necessarily agree with it, so it's going to have to be something that the whole council agrees to. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And which means we should really, before we actually commit ourselves to something, decide how we're going to present it. And this is probably not the way to do it tonight, sitting here. There is a case for having a look at how we present this in future before May.
Very last point from Sue Patience, because I think we spent enough.
Yeah, sorry, quickly. I mean, we still got the communication group.
Yeah.
Is this not somewhere for that to be discussed?
Yeah, should be.
Okay.
Peter, I've just caught your hand. I'll allow yours.
Just to back up what Gordon's saying, I mean, bearing in mind that 1 minutes are published every meeting anyway, and then it would be just a case to summarise from the minutes what actually we've done over the year, rather than actually create a whole load more work. Because everybody can read the minutes, and all our Zoom meetings are all available for people to watch on YouTube. So.
Okay, thank you everybody. That's been a really good discussion. I think the gist of it is that we agree in principle. I think we need to be careful about what the purpose is, what the aim is, and whether or not what Alan is asking, an annual report, is different from a quarterly bulletin, and which would be the best. And I agree with Patience. I was going to say this, it really needs to go to the communications group and have a further discussion there, and come back to full council for agreement on possibly some options. I also think we need to be careful about relying entirely on the internet and on the web page, because there are still people out there who haven't got access to the technology. Okay, so can we answer in the affirmative that we are seriously considering it, Peter, and we'll let them know. Well, we'll let them know to keep an eye out on the website for developments. Thank you. So item 2 was apologies, that which we've already taken. Thank you. Item 3 is the declarations of interest to receive disclosures of pecuniary interest from councillors on matters to be considered at the meeting. The disclosure must include the nature of the interest. If you become aware during the course of the meeting of an interest that has not been disclosed under this item, you must immediately disclose it. Thank you. And then we move to the approval of the minutes.
Well, yeah, I declare that interest as a county councillor as normal.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't give you a chance. Sorry, Gordon. Thank you. Linda?
Yes, pecuniary interest in item 15 on the grants. Should I vote on that or not? As chair of someone who is receiving a grant.
I would advise against voting on that, Linda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll come to it in a minute. Thank you for that. Yes, the approval of the minutes of the last meeting in October. Okay, Jeff and Sue proposed and seconded. There is one amendment which I sent in, which was just a slight inaccuracy on my report. Instead of it just reads, I've forgotten what the actual wording is, but it just says it's all dimension. It isn't. Each floor has a different case. So there's dementia on one floor, there's general care on another floor, and bariatric care on a third floor. So I was just making that more specific and accurate. So with that amendment, can we have an agreement that we accept the minutes? All those in favour? Thank you. I think that's everybody. Is there any matters arising? Peter, would you like to put them on the screen, please?
Yeah, certainly. Bear with me a moment. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any matters arising on page 1?
No.
Page 2.
Can I just make a point about the Lindisfarne gym, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
It is decommissioned, as simple as that. It is not accessible to the public. I really can't go any further than to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. And page 6. Okay, thank you very much. Item 6 is councillor resignation. You will all know that Alan resigned after the last meeting. Peter, would you like to talk us through what we need to do next, please?
Yeah, obviously, sadly, Alan Waiton resigned after the previous full council meeting. I've spoken to Democratic Services at County Hall. Because Alan represented the Castle Ward, which is different to the 2 vacancies we currently have. So George Maven was part of the Clayport Ward and Robbie Moore was part of the Hotspur Ward. We need to follow the standard process. So a notice will come out. Obviously, I'm making a formal notice to the council here. Formal notice will come out either tomorrow or Monday, and then we'll follow the traditional process. So if we get 10 signatures requested in an election, that election will happen, but it will happen in May because of COVID. If we don't get 10 signatures, we could potentially co-opt, although that may prove difficult given that we're only 7 months away from a full council election.
You. So you set that in motion, will you, Peter?
That'll be set in motion either tomorrow or Monday.
We have written to Alan and thanked him for his work on the council, and it was with regret that I accepted his resignation. Committee advisory group vacancies.
Yeah, so we actually now have vacancies on all of our formal committees, and a vacancy for the chair of the advisory group that Alan Waiton was previously chair of, which is the, excuse me, I'm just messing with my screen here. Which was the Housing Economy and Employment Advisory Group. So Councillor Lyford has declared that she may be interested in that chairing role of the advisory committee, and Councillor Wood Mitchell has declared an interest in joining the Finance and Policy Committee. So I don't know, Linda, if you want to take it one at a time in terms of perhaps starting with the Planning Committee, for example, to see if there's any interest in anybody taking up that vacancy, and then working through the various committees.
Yes, so have we got anybody who would be interested in joining the Highways, Planning and Transport Committee? I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn my phone off, it's pinging here. The Planning, Highways and Transport Subcommittee of the Council. No. No takers. Okay. Yes, Sue, Patience?
Sorry to disturb the flow of things, but shouldn't we wait until we've got some more councillors on board? If we go for a by-election, that means another councillor will come in fairly soon. And shouldn't we be allowing them to have a say in?
They won't come in until May, so there won't be any elections until May.
No. If there's sorry, not a by-election, but if there's a co-option, they would come in sooner. Then, you know, we're excluding them, aren't we, from this process at the moment?
Peter, what's your view?
I don't think we're necessarily excluding people who aren't on the council at present. The reality is at the moment that we have got vacancies, and the cemetery committee in particular actually sometimes struggles to be quorate. So my view is that we should probably try and fill the vacancies if we can.
Sorry, that didn't quite answer the question that Sue made. Are we able to co-opt before May or not? I didn't think we were, but Peter, are you clear about that?
Based on the conversation I had yesterday with Democratic Services, if we go down the election route, so if we get 10 signatures, then the election would be held in May. If we don't get 10 signatures, they didn't see any reason why we couldn't co-opt, because it was a different ward from the two vacancies that we currently have with George and Robbie's wards.
Martin Swinbank, and then I'll come back to you, Sue.
Okay.
It was just that if we're obviously going to go through this process, it might be worth knowing, councillors knowing how many vacancies arise in each committee at the present time.
Over to you, Peter, please.
Yeah, I haven't got anything in front of me, Martin, but there's certainly one vacancy on each committee. There may be two on one, but there's certainly one vacancy on each committee.
Right, Sue, Patience, you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question that Martin's just asked about how many vacancies there are on each committee, but I do think it precludes, you know, people that are potentially going to be joining the council. If you've only got one vacancy on the committee and you're filling it already, then it gives them no opportunity.
There would be an opportunity for somebody to step down if they so wished and create that vacancy if we asked the new councillor where their skills and expertise lay. I can't remember whose hand was up first, but Linda and Jeff. Linda, I'll come to you first. You're on mute. You're on mute, Linda.
Just to agree with what you were saying, Linda, about the fact that I'm sure any of us would stand down to give a new councillor the opportunity to join a committee. If that's what Sue is concerned about, that there won't be an opportunity for new councillors. Certainly, I'm sure we would be prepared to stand down.
Thank you, Linda. Jeff?
Can I suggest that as we have 2 vacancies on the cemetery committee, I think it is the cemetery committee,
Yes,
isn't
it
it,
is,
Peter?
Yeah.
We try and fill one of the 2 vacancies on the cemetery committee, and then leave the others until we know if we're going to get a co-opted councillor.
John Humphreys?
I just wonder what the timescale is to collect these 10 signatures before you can co-opt.
Yeah, it's 14 days, but it's not 14 days, John. It's 14 days, which excludes weekends and working days, and the day before and the day post the notice. So once I fill the forms out, I get them checked by Democratic Services to make sure the dates are completely correct. So on Monday, I'll be able to confirm with councillors what that process is.
Thanks.
So we're not going to have anybody before the January meeting, I would imagine.
No.
Okay, Martin, I can see you waving their way there.
It just seems we should maybe be promoting the vacant spaces for councillors that we have, because there's nobody seems to be rushing to take up the jobs as a town councillor at the moment. Couldn't that be the case that if whoever does come on, it's sort of the understanding that covers Sue's point that they cannot sort of piggyback on anything until everything gets sorted out? Because the worry for me is that everybody who's here has been on the team a long time. We don't see a lot of, or encourage a lot of new members to be councillors, and it just seems that they seem to last a short period of time. So I don't know if that's a worrying part of what we do, or do they join the council for the wrong reasons? So it's just something to be better thinking about when we discuss the new members and asking people to be town councillors. We all do it for the right reasons, and it just means if you think back, I've been on a long time, like Sue, that we need to be sort of making, rather than taking people just on to fill the post, but taking people on for the right reasons.
So did you want to say something else?
No, just to agree with Marty there, that it needs to be a positive step, not a negative one about people stepping down from things. It needs to be a positive step of kind of encouraging people to do stuff. If there's nobody on there at the moment, you know, kind of like we've lost one councillor, will that make a lot of difference to the committee meetings?
We've lost 3 councillors, and for me, this is all about ensuring that we are as effective as we can be with 3 councillors short. Julia.
Can I just clarify then? I understand that we need to leave that due process for the new vacancy. With the other 2 vacancies, are we in a position now to be considering co-opting?
No, because there's 10 signatures. Those 2 vacancies will have an election.
Because that process for triggering the 10 vacancies hasn't happened for those 2 then?
No, it has, but the election has been postponed until May because of COVID.
We would not have had a by-election now, but before now, way back in May.
So there were people put forward, but we're waiting for May to elect them.
Yes, well, there were 10 signatures which triggered the election, but the election was postponed until May because of COVID. Just can I add just one thing? If we are reluctant to try and fill the vacancies on all of the committees, I understand where people are coming from on that. The 2 committees that run the most risk of not being quorum are the planning committee and the cemetery committee. So
Right.
they would be, as a clerk, they would be my preference to try and fill vacancies on.
Yes, Gordon.
I'm quite prepared, I'm on plenty of committees, to stand down from the policy and finance committee and go to the cemetery committee if it assisted the council. I'm prepared to do that because I think the finance and policy committee is really not covered. I've never heard of it, but I'm prepared to do that if that would help.
I think it's our biggest committee, isn't it? Okay, thank you for that, Gordon. Okay. So after that discussion, we'll concentrate on the 2 where there's vacancies. We've had Gordon offer to come on to the cemetery committee. Is there anybody else who could fill the other vacancy on cemetery? Cemetery, I think, is our smallest committee, I think, with the fewest members, which is why it makes it difficult.
Well, all being well, Alan should rejoin us soon.
Yes, true.
So that'll bring us up to 6. And if Gordon kindly joins, that'll make us 7.
Okay.
As long as I don't have to declare an interest having bought a plot there.
No, you're okay there.
And as chair, you would be happy with that, John? If we
Yes, that would be fine. That's fine.
Okay.
We only meet 4 times a year anyway, so
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
not too onerous.
It's a problem. Yeah.
So the other
Thank
one,
you, Gordon.
which is short, is planning, transport and highways. Have we got any volunteers for that one?
Chair, I would, but I can't because of the conflict of interest with my role on the actual determining planning committee.
Yeah, and I would offer, but I'm already on it, and I'm already on cemetery as well, so I can't do it. But can you all have a think about it, please? Because it could be there could be a point where we can't meet because it's not quorate. It hasn't quite happened yet. Sorry, Sue?
We might have a new councillor by then. By the next meeting.
Peter, did you have your hand up, Peter Broom?
I did. How many people do we currently have on planning? Because we're asking people that's on the screen tonight, and most of them are on the planning committee, I don't know. Because you got Martin, myself, Martin Swinback.
Yeah.
Peter Edge.
Yeah.
And Jeff.
And I'm on it as well. So.
And John. So there's not really many left to ask, is there?
If to be honest with you, if cemetery's filled, that's the biggest risk at the moment.
Okay.
Cemetery one.
Well,
So if that's filled, I'm happy. The next one is to obviously try and fill that advisory group chair role, which Julia has shown an interest in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's move on then. We'll leave it at that. So the next point is, as Peter said, is the chair of the Housing, Economy and Employment Advisory Group. Now, this is the advisory group that runs alongside the Town Centre Retail Group, the Environmental Group, and there's another group as well. Julia's expressed an interest in that. Has anybody else got an interest in chairing that meeting, Jeff?
I'd like to propose Julia for the chair.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Gordon. All those in favour? There is nobody else, is there? No. I think that's everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Julia, for putting yourself. I didn't ask you if you still were interested. I'm assuming you are.
Yes, I am. Definitely.
You're in
Thank
now.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Next is my report. There's not much to report.
Linda, was there not? Sorry, Linda, was there not something else to discuss there? Did Linda?
Oh yes, sorry. Linda wants to come onto the finance
Recreation,
policy. Yeah.
Was it finance and policy, was it? I thought it was recreation and amenities, but never mind.
Wishful thinking, Peter.
Yes, Sue?
I'm already on that.
Finance. Sorry, Sue. I would propose Linda for Finance and Committee.
Okay, have we got a seconder? Jeff, all those in favour? Thank you. Carried. You're on finance, Linda. Exciting times ahead. Okay, the next is my report, which isn't very long, which is why I'm doing it verbally again. Only thing to report is the Remembrance Day activities. On Sunday, we had a small number for the ceremony led by Joan, who I never remember the second part of her name. And it went very well. There was a few members of the public who turned up, but everybody was socially distanced. And I felt it was a very dignified and respectful ceremony. And then on Thursday, on the 11th day of the 11th hour, there was another small gathering of mainly veterans, again, a few members of the public. Adrian Irons came, and he hadn't been able to come to the Sunday ceremony, which he was very upset about. And he came and sat on the bench and played his mouth organ after the wreaths were laid. It was ever so touching, it was. Excuse me. So that's it. That's all I've done in terms of official duties. It'd be nice to get back and do some official duties. It's not my most favourite part of the job, but I'm actually missing it. Okay, Mayor's, that's my update. So now we go to the County Council update. Gordon, please.
Thank you very much. I'll be as brief as I can. I'll get any further. Down to one or 2 points I don't forget. As you may have read, there are some budget reductions to be proposed, which will go to a 6-week consultation period, £43 million over 3 years. The first year is 8.3 million. And those reductions to balance the books will come to will be accessible to the Town Council and an individual to comment before it's considered during the budgetary month in February. I wanted just to tell you that the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit is in the town centre, if you've noticed. However, a driving instructor made an extremely good point, which was that there was no indication of where it ended. So you could actually be going out of Alnwick and still think it was 20 all the way to the Oaks roundabout. That has been rectified. So on either side, on each side of the 30 signs, there's now 20 sign, there's now a 30 sign to show that you've gone back to the 30 limit. That was just a mistake in the first place. There's consultation about yellow lines along Lisburn Street, and there's been requests for the corner lines to be extended, which is being considered. I've also had some correspondence, and I know that Sir Allcroft's been involved, about rubbish at Peter's Mill, which has been left by groups of youths, definitely using it as a hideaway. You know, that's what happens when you're young, taking drink down. And if they'd only take their rubbish away, who would care? No, I didn't say that. But they won't, and broken glass is left there, causing a problem. You know, dogs being taken for a walk, cut paws. I've notified the police, and the police are going to send down regular patrols to check this. In terms of the clearing of it, it actually belongs to the Footpaths Department of the County Council, and Mr. Derbyshire, who's been informed, but don't expect, you know, an immediate result swinging away tomorrow. That is something slightly unexpected, and I can say no more than that at the moment. I think that's probably all I've got. Any questions, I'll answer if necessary. Thank you.
Bill.
Yes, we had a quick chat about this morning, Gordon. I'm just wondering what the impact on Alnwick might be of these cuts to the council budget. Looking at the bigger picture, we had a discussion about this, whether the town council should be looking at increasing the precept if the county is disappearing, where all it's left, and perhaps we need to be a bit more creative and a bit more hands-on in what we do. But I mean, it is a trend, isn't it, Gordon? I mean, I don't think never heard of budgets being put back up. How do you view that?
Well, trying to balance the books, of course. Now, as you know, I think everybody would agree that one of my objectives has always been, since the disappearance of the district council, to try and enhance the role of the town council, to take the place of what used to exist. And I think the county council rarely finds difficulty with that. I'd be very pleased to find that the town council wanted to take on duties which were formerly or presently are county council duties. And this is a books balancing exercise, and it's about efficiencies, not cutting services. Speaking to my colleagues, I know that there's an intention to reduce services if at all possible. Sorry, not to reduce services if at all possible. But you can't cut money without having an impact. Of course you can't. Yeah. So I think the town council should be thinking in the longer term about how it wants to manage the town and what its role should be. And everything costs money. And one can argue that the best thing to do if it's an Alnwick issue is to say, well, really, maybe Alnwick should be paying for it. And this is a bad time to be asking anybody for extra money. This is, at the moment, this is not the time. But I think we're thinking medium to long term, how do we manage the town? Thank you.
Okay, Martin Harrington, and I think Martin Swinbank also had his hand up.
Just a question for Gordon. Gordon, I had a lady on the phone this morning wanting to know asking me personally why the council office was shut when they travelled in from Glanton, because they were asked to bring in paperwork to the council office in Alnwick and getting there. She went on the website and the website says it's open from 9 till 5 or 9 till 4. So the office hours that are shown on the website do not relate to actual opening times. And this people, I've had a couple of conversations just indirectly with this problem of like the website not reflecting the opening hours and people not being able to get the service that they were expecting through non-update of the website.
That's a point that I will take up myself. As I think most of do know, the Greenwell Lane has been closed for quite a long time, and there are no immediate plans to open it. But I did not know that the website suggested differently. I will have that mistake rectified. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin Swinbank, did you have something?
Yeah, just going back to the budget cuts, I wondered if Gordon knew what the specifics were for Alnwick, where Alnwick Town Council may be required to. Obviously,
sorry.
Yeah, because obviously we're into kind of sorting out our budgets now, so we kind of need to know relatively quickly. Is the consultation actually out now?
It is virtually out. What I'll do is make sure that when I've got something in detail, I don't want to go through what I know at the moment, but I think the best thing to do is for me to send it to the mayor and for her to distribute that to town councillors so you can see it. And that's my undertaking. One thing you might also want to know, and I've got Linda here, I think I sent it to you today, Linda. Sorry, Linda, Lisa, tongue trouble. Lisa, it's the support grants for businesses. And that came out today. The deal I've got from the county council. It's on the county council website as of from tomorrow. So Lisa, I've sent that to you today. As soon as I got it, all members got it today. So have a look at that, and if there are any questions, you can come back to me. So that is out.
Brilliant, thank you.
In terms of the detail of the budgetary cuts, I think it's a bit early for me to go through that, but I will ensure that members know what is proposed. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sue Patience.
Just a quick one, Gordon, about the extra allowances that were given to the town. Were they given to the town council for the school meals?
It's on the agenda, Sue.
It's on the agenda, Sue.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'll discuss that. I've got some thoughts.
Okay, fine. Yeah, sorry.
Peter Haitley.
Yeah, just a very, very quick response to Councillor Swinbank's comment, which is a really valid one about the link between the county council's budget and the town council's budget. The reality is, though, that we are going to be ahead of the county council in terms of setting our budget, so it is going to be difficult for us to keep track with it, which it's more likely going to be in the future that we're catching up sort of 12 months afterwards, just through the dates and the legal requirements around the setting of the budget and the precept.
Thank you.
Do I dare give an example on the press here?
It could
anyway,
be
it's recorded.
who's watching it.
It's recorded. For example, you know that we're trying to do something with the toilets, the toilets, under the Campbells. And you know that we would very much like to expand them greatly. For example, money has been committed in the budget for improved toilets on Holy Island at Sea Houses, about 150k each. Nothing like that has been committed to Alnwick. Now, I will do my best, but, you know, at the moment, at present times, so ask the county council for 150k for toilets in Alnwick. You know, don't hold your breath. The town council may wish to do it, and probably better that the town council did do it. But maybe the town council should pay for it, if you see what I mean, for Alnwick.
I would like to know how and why other towns get priority, and you know how those decisions are made before I would be agreed that we took anything else on. We're a small town, we haven't got a huge precept, a huge budget, and it would be quite an undertaking. And it always amazes me that other areas seem quite frequently get priority over Alnwick.
I'll answer that by saying that Holy Island's got next to nothing on its parish budget, and Sea Houses hasn't got much more. That's the reason.
Thank you. Jeff.
Yeah, I think we have to be very, very careful here, because we haven't got the resources of county council or even the old district council in staff or budget. I know for a fact that county council would love us to take over a lot of the stuff that they're doing. We've just got to be careful what we volunteer to take over. I'm very reluctant for the county council to be cutting their budget and for us to be discussing increasing hours.
I agree.
Makes me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Tells me everything.
Peter Broom, sorry. Peter Edge, sorry.
Yeah, really, it's just to agree with that, and it's also just to be aware that actually we need to just not take anything on. Well, obviously, just for the sake of it, but not take anything on just for the sake of pride in having it as well. I mean, obviously, we talk about toilets. We're not going to take on toilets as a part of pride. But other things we might take them on. So a point of feeling like we might be able to control them, or sort of for pride reasons. But actually, just needs to be a bit of rationality about the whole process of us taking things on. And then, really, it's just like the longer in advance that we know that things are going to be taken away from ANIC, then the more in advance we can start to plan for it or appeal against that. So if that's going to be several years, we really need to know, don't we? So it's just as much planning as possible, really.
I couldn't agree more, Peter. And I wasn't saying that we would never take them on. I just think that we just need to be careful and think about, you know, if that's a big chunk out of what budget we do have, and it's a major undertaking to take them on. I would love to see them improved. I think that they're a disgrace. Okay, so the next...
John wants to speak.
Who, sorry?
John Humphreys.
Got a pencil.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. I just want to say that if we do take things on, then we do need full decision-making powers to go along with it. Otherwise, we don't want to do, like, for example, the toilets, we can do certain things but not others, and so on and so forth. So we do want to make sure that we have full power and authority over whatever we do decide.
I almost wish I'd never mentioned toilets, but I think the point I'm making is that things are very, very tight at County Hall, so don't expect it to get funds. And if you really want them, you might have to find them yourself as the town council. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. And the next item is on the updates is the ANIC forum, Peter.
Yeah, just a couple of updates from me. The new car park at the former Duchess site, it is part of the county's budget process, and we should get some clarity early next year on that and the timeframes around that. Just can't say much more than that, but relatively positive in terms of what the outcome might be for that. The Lindisfarne development is due to commence in January. It's worth, if anybody hasn't had a look already, I would recommend to have a look on the planning portal, County Council planning portal, have a look at the plans in detail that are on there, just to give you a feel for the types of facilities that are going to be on that new campus. There's an exciting project developing, I think, to create an official walkway and cycleway along the old railway line outside of ANIC. It's linked into the infilling of the bridges and various other things. Quite a complex one, I think, in terms of the number of stakeholders involved in it. But our advisory group, Strategic Travel, Sustainable Travel, sorry, are going to set up a separate working group to try and drive that project forward and report it back into the town council on the forum. So that's something really, really positive.
Are you taking questions as we go along, Linda, or do you wish to wait till the end of Peter's presentation?
I'll wait till the end of the presentation.
Yeah, I've just got one more before I'm finished, Gordon. The final one's on the cobbles. If you remember last time I reported that we were sort of down to two options for that broader cobbles design. We hope that we'll get some more detail behind those two designs back to the forum in the early part of next year, probably February, and then we'll bring them back to the town council to discuss.
Thank you. Gordon.
Thank you. On the, can we call it the Greenway? Because it seems to have stuck that title. This is the proposal that we use the west-facing former railway line that went to Cornhill, and parts of which are in reasonably good condition. And this project to make this a walkway, cycleway, is quite an exciting one, and I think it's got a lot of support. We've got some very keen, at least one very keen member of the public who's actually clearing it as we speak, I think, and taking photographs as we go. Now, the question was about ownership, and what we did obtain was Julie Parkinson very kindly got us a map of who owned what stretch. And I've had an initial chat with Colin Barnes about this, and he would welcome a discussion with the town council about how to proceed with this. So what I'm suggesting, if the town council agrees, that somehow the town council has an initial discussion with Colin Barnes, because we wonder, as far as he's concerned, the Strategic Transport Working Group is just that, a working group. He wants to know what the town council is expecting out of this. So can I recommend that we initiate a discussion with him, yourself, Madam Mayor, and whoever else, and probably you, Martin, and maybe you, Peter, just to get this going.
Thank you, Gordon. That sounds like a good beginning to this project. We need to get it right, I think, and get people on board. Thank you. Yes, Peter.
Yes, I agree. I'll liaise with Martin Bank, and we'll try and get that discussion with Colin as quickly as we can.
Yes, there are 3 landowners. Lord George, His Grace the Duke, plus the Freeman. They are, and also cousins. I think they are easily coped with. But let's get to the Northumberland Estates first.
Thank you. Peter Edge, did you want to say something?
No, Peter just answered it really. It was just in terms of the speed of doing it really, because that volunteer is really keen to get stuck in. So I guess as soon as possible we can talk to Colin, and the better really. So answered.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Peter on that report from the forum? No, thank you. And the next item of that update bit is to have a verbal report from the advisory groups. Martin, would you like to start with the town centre retail group?
Yes, thank you. Been a lot happening. Been working with a few key people. Lisa being one of them, who's done a sterling job since we've got the group going. Not taking any the limelight from other people, but naturally it takes some kind of movers and shakers, as I call them, to move the thing forward. So what's relevant for tonight's meeting is the fact that we're going to get illuminations in the town. As briefly as that, that's all it is, but some of the money's come from one place, some from the other, and Annick Lights Committee are doing their little bit as well. Unfortunately, we had to bin or not allowed to have the Christmas markets, which was something everybody was kind of banking on. Was being excited to bring people into the town so that the town shops could benefit from footfall and people not going abroad. As I say, I keep saying it again and again, and it's going to be mobbed next year as well with footfall from visitors not going abroad or not wanting to go abroad. And we're just kind of winding down really now for the Christmas period. Had a good meeting the other day, but which was quite interesting in respect to, like, a lot of people who are on the committees have got all these different strengths, and we kind of identified that we're looking for ways to make things, add another strand to the bow of positive things for the town to make it prosperous going forward. But we realised that we've got a few problems on our doorstep that need sort of addressing first. So we've got a bit of a wish list thing going around, and we can discuss that and see if we can put any fixes to the problem. But no, it's a very positive group that we've got there, and everybody, so just keep watching this space and we keep updating you.
Thank you, Martin. Has anybody got any questions for Martin? Yes, Peter Broom.
Yeah, just on the subject of the seats under the fish market, can we have the bin reinstated there? Because I noticed there's a lot of litter lying underneath it and nobody's bothering to sweep it up. And the fact that the cigarette ends in there is just unbelievable.
Can I? I'm alive here. I am.
I think if the bin was reinstated, it would maybe help. You know.
I think Janet's already made me aware of this one, Peter, and it was one of them cases where if there's a bin, people sometimes use it, but in this case, I think needed to be physically put in front of them so they can see it, so they can put their rubbish in. There's a bin to the right, there's a bin to the left, but I think Janet and Peter and I will get a look and maybe putting a smaller one in, which is kind of less, just something for people to put the rubbish in. But I agree with you. I have looked at it. It's a great asset. It does the trick. A lot of people have been using it, I've seen through the summer, but that was just one of the things that we managed to achieve. So if I have a few teething problems, I'm sure it's a minor. But no, we're looking into it. And Janet, I think, and Peter are looking for that, to get a small bin installed.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And I think you've been doing an amazing job, and a very, very proactive group and very willing group. It's been very rewarding to see it progress. Thank you.
Okay.
Martin Swinbank, would you like to give us an update on the Strategic Travel Working Group, please?
Okay, thank you, Linda. Okay, so things we've been working on the last few months, I suppose. LTP priorities, which we brought to last month's Town Council meeting, I think. We're trying to push County Council. I think we're making some progress with this through the working group and through the forum, is to look at traffic flow through the town and have a more strategic review of what traffic is going through the town and whether it could be improved. We've had representations from people on Butter Street and Lisbon Street in particular with regard to HGVs going through there. So it's to try and get a professional look at town traffic flow and see if we can find some ways to improve situation for residents. We're looking at going forward. We're looking at, people might have seen a review recently that a lot of footpaths around the country which have kind of disappeared off the definitive map. There are over 1,000 miles of footpath, believe it or not, in Northumberland, which have vanished off footpaths. So we're seeing whether there's a way we can, if there are any close to Alnwick, whether there's a way we can reinstate them and get them back into use, because obviously that's a very important thing, particularly at this time when people are looking for local places to get outside. And there's a window of opportunity in the next 5 years to find the evidence that those have been in use historically and can be brought back into use. We've been consulted by the County Council with regard to the local cycling and walking infrastructure planning system, which is putting a plan in place for improving walking and cycling routes through the town, which is quite exciting. The county have brought forward 4 initial routes that we've been talking about, 2 walking and 2 cycling kind of corridors, if you like, and they're going to put some kind of flesh on the bones in terms of what will happen with 2 of those routes, and that will be coming forward to a public consultation hopefully in the next few months. So that's quite exciting, because we do believe that there is money from central government to start doing some of this work, so we need the plan in place so that the work can be done. And finally, just very quickly, obviously it's been mentioned already a couple of times, but the Alnwick Greenway, the route on the old Alnwick to Cornhill line, we're moving forward with that slowly but steadily. It's something we've been working on for the last probably at least 2 years now, but it's starting to gain some kind of momentum, and that's looking really exciting again, and a local route which local people can use and get out in the countryside. And we're hoping to, when we talk about a greenway, we're hoping to make that so that it's accessible for all users. So that's everybody from walking to cycling to horse riding to mobility scooter to wheelchair, that kind of level of surface. That's what we're aiming at ultimately. And there's a nice little loop there, which would be about a 4-mile loop into and out of Alnwick and round in a circle. That would be really good. So those are the main things we've been working on in the last few months, but we keep working away.
Thank you, Martin. Any questions for Martin? Yes, Peter Broom.
Hi, Martin. Just to update everybody that the existing footpath that runs from Stoop Hill down in Alnwick's being widened. It's been the work's going on currently now. Were you aware of that, or I don't know if you've been over that way or not?
Yes, I've seen that. I mean, I'd be interested if Gordon has any update on that, because that wasn't. It's something that's been identified by us as being of needing upgrading, but it's not something that's been high enough on our list to go onto the LTP priorities. So it's interesting that the county doing
I
it.
can't exactly remember how, but we did ask the county council last year if this could be considered as a proper walking and cycling route, and it was inspected and found that there were parts of it that needed were good, parts that were terrible. So to my slight surprise and encouragement, yes, work is proceeding right now, and let's hope the results are worthwhile. It's an obvious walking and cycling route. In fact, And if you want to go up the park wall, you can go to the new radome, walk back down and come straight back into Wannock in a circle via that footpath. So there's a really good walk there if you're ever interested.
Thank you, Gordon. Sue, Patience.
It was just a question, Martin, about what are the main, do you know the main reasons why we've lost 1,000 miles of footpaths?
This is quite historical, Sue. It's going back. I don't know exactly what the date is, but it's going back. I would presume to at least pre-1950s, possibly pre-war, where the definitive maps were updated. There's all sorts of strange things where footpaths end at the end of a parish boundary, and all this sort of strange thing that you'll notice on if you look at a modern ordnance survey map, and things just haven't been transcribed. I don't honestly know. I mean, there may have been, landowners who weren't very forthcoming in wanting the footpaths to be put onto maps and that sort of thing. But it is all very historical. But there's a period of an opportunity up until 2026, I think, where this can be rectified. There's something like 50,000 miles across the country, and after that, it'll be seemingly very, very difficult to bring anything back forward.
Gordon and then Martin Harrington.
Very briefly, I'm on the Rights of Way Committee, which is part of the planning system, and we have 2 full-time officers do nothing more than attempt to actually rectify these anomalies. And in fact, we're moving north of the county. We've got as far as Edlingham at the moment, curiously. And last week, we're looking at some rights of way there which are not clear, and what we do as a committee, we say this is the evidence. We go back 300 and 400 years, and I do not exaggerate, with maps of the highest standard, the work, the research that goes into this from the Rights of Way Committee, which is why I strongly recommend that David Brooks comes along with the STWG and briefs you on how this is working and how it can be resolved in our interests. And it's a fascinating process and very time consuming, because it can end up in court. If the landowner objects, you're in court, and it's a long process in the civil courts.
Thank you, Gordon. Martin Harrington.
Yeah, that's great, thanks. This is sort of the subject that came up with the working group meeting earlier in the week, was the fact of all these positive things that are happening in our area that we cannot report back to the public. Somebody and I thought that we were trying to, or going to be in the line to, or for the Gordon and Martin and all the working group, that was a proposal and that's what we're working on. I think that should be reported. That should be fed back somewhere in a post, or if the press can get a hold of it. But I think that was a key part of our meeting the other day, was that a lot of people do things that we don't know is happening, and then you're looking for things to make a positive thing, but they're already there. But just you don't know they're there, and you don't know that they're happening. Everybody on the screen tonight knows it's happening, but that's it. It doesn't get any further. The strands don't go out and inform the people of Alnwick in our area. All we do is sit and chatter and put money in our pockets. We're not positive people. We just get money for nothing. We don't do anything. We just sit and discuss things. And this is the point I was trying to make the other day, was that if people, we need to be knowing what's positive, what's happening in a positive manner, because there's so much negativity. And if people knew that there was a walk going to be proposed on a nice loop of Alnwick, or Gordon's just said, that walk up the park wall up to the new things, those are the sort of things that we need to be reporting back and making people of Alnwick aware of.
Can I just jump in there as well?
No, of course I had my hand up first. For ages. Sorry, Marty, just to get back, sorry, Lisa, just to say, Marty, didn't we at one council meeting, a few meetings back, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, say that we'd do a press release after each council meeting? Full council meeting? Give a press release saying what we'd done to the Gazette? Did we agree?
I don't remember that personally, and it just sometimes people ask you certain questions. What happened with this? What happened with that? Yeah. And sometimes you cannot remember.
What I'm saying is, I think we agreed that we would do that, didn't we, at a council meeting?
So in that respect, and Sue, and through the chairman as well, how can we make this a formal sort of thing, that it just doesn't get put to one side, and then 9 months has passed and we said, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. And that's what's been coming out of the working group meeting. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good work, but it doesn't get reported back. And it just happens. So, Pete.
Have we lost the mayor?
Yeah, I was just going to, that was going to be my first point. Jeff, would you just step in whilst we've lost Linda? I think she froze out before that. Just to come back on the comm stuff, I certainly don't remember, I may be wrong, it may have been before my time, I don't remember us agreeing to do a press release after every council, but I think we did agree that we would do more in terms of comms. It is important, from my perspective, I'm less fond of periodical comms than I am of actually doing comms when they're needed. So, you know, if we're looking at some of the, I mean, it's actually a big first step tonight for me, because this is the first time we've put the advisory groups on, given an update, and I think it's probably the first time that even councillors have got a feel for some of the fantastic stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So I'm really pleased with the way that that's gone tonight, and we're not even finished yet. And I know Jeff's got some stuff to say. But looking actually this afternoon, I've got the second sort of draft, if you like, of the website, and looking at that and the way that we're going to be able to push stories out, particularly through social media, at the right time. And that's a critical thing for me. It's at the right time. So, for example, the Greenway, it might not be yet that we want to do that initial comms. It might be 2 or 3 weeks' time when we've got all the stakeholders on board and we have more confidence that that project can be out in the public domain. So for me, promoting comms at the right time is more important than doing something periodically.
I think just, and I'll shut up after this, I think it was the case of recording a process, and Sue has a valid point. It must have been discussed somewhere, Sue, because you're adamant it's been discussed.
Yes, I think it was probably between us and Gallery and the sort of the press release that went out about the housing statement, I think, and we said then that we would look at doing a press release after each
and I think that validates the point I'm trying to make, that if things can get slipped through the net, there's so much happening, it needs to be tagged, it needs to be captured. That's my point. Thanks.
Thanks, Mara. I'm sorry about that. My internet dropped out there. I think I caught up with what was going on. I think the agreement to do a press release was before your time, Peter. I seem to remember Bill was here when we agreed to do that.
No. It's more recent than that.
It's more recent than that.
Well, we did agree while Bill was there as well. Okay, never mind. Okay, Lisa.
I just wanted to reiterate what Martin was saying, because I think if you get the communication right about the projects that go on, it'll help with a whole host of things, and it'll help in attracting councillors or people who want to join the council regular from a better and bigger cross section.
I agree.
And if that bit gets put right, it'll automatically help and support all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, just think Councillor Patience is absolutely correct. We did agree, wasn't that long ago, that we would put out a press release, because I think the discussion came out of the press not attending the meetings or not being present at the meeting, and we agreed that we would look into sending out a press release after each meeting. So,
you're right, Jeff.
Yeah.
You're right. Thank you. Any more questions? Are we still with Martin? Are we? Okay, thank you. Jeff, would you like to update us about the Environment Advisory Group, please?
Yes, I can do that. I'll start with tree planting. As you know, we've got a budget for tree planting. The community centre is going to be planting 15 trees in the vicinity of the community centre, so looking forward to that. We've got more fruit trees are being planted. This is all under NVCAP 8. And phase 2 of the Ribbon of Trees project, that will be completed before the end of March. We are expecting, I believe, 176 cherry trees for
That's
Annex.
correct.
As part, Tim, as part of the UK-wide distribution. Janet's been able to identify some sites for those, but there's a lot of trees there, so if councillors are aware of any areas that would look good with some cherry trees, we'll if you could suggest that, please do so. Tim?
We do have a planting plan, which we've agreed with the Japanese embassy, but we're getting far more trees than we asked for. So yeah, I think we probably will need some additional locations, and I'm sure that they'll be quite happy for us to do that. Just for information, they will be delivered between now and March of next year. And obviously they would like to deliver them all 176 in one delivery, rather than keep coming back. So bearing in mind this is an enormous number of trees, I had a quick chat with Mark Brassel at the garden, who has offered storage space if we require it. And they will feed them and look after them until such time as we are in a position to put them in, or anybody else is in a position to put them in.
Super. Tim, would it be possible to get that planting map out to councillors so that they're not suggesting spaces that we've already...
Yeah, will do. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow.
Martin, you were going to say something?
Just could we involve the general public in this? If people who wanted a tree, could they do some interaction with the people of Alnwick again? I mean, say, who knows, if you were to ask somebody in the middle of Alnwick tomorrow morning, did you know we're going to get 176 76 cherry trees from Japan? They'll say, what are you on about? This is the point I'm trying to get across. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. If people wanted a tree, we'll do something with the press, a chance to get a tree, and then make it more proactive with what we're doing. Your work, Jeff, Tim's work, and everybody that we do.
Okay, thank you, Martin. John Humphreys.
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday, Alnwick in Bloom, and obviously this matter came up of 176 cherry trees, and of course they are quite interested in you know, seeing where these are going to go, and perhaps offering some suggestions on the sites that they look after. So I would, you know, when you're deciding what to do with them, please bear in mind Alnwick in Bloom, because they have some valuable input.
Okay, Sue Patience, then Tim, and then Peter Edge.
Sorry, can I just ask? I mean, you might be calling the meetings, Jeff, but is there one due? Is there a kind of a subgroup meeting due to be called, or only it's just I've got some information from an event that might happen next year around the environment that could really, the town council could really link into, but I haven't had access to a meeting yet, so I don't know when they are.
Our subgroup consists of me and Janet at the moment. We had quite a few plans for expanding the group, but then that was pre-COVID. When COVID hit us, everything was chucked into the long grass. So we could arrange a meeting, Sue.
Yeah, that would be really useful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to Janet after the meeting about that.
Okay, Tim.
Yeah, just to respond to what John was asking, the Alnwick in Bloom were fully consulted on this when it was first raised, which is nearly 2 years ago now, actually. The Japanese embassy wrote to Alan Simmons at the time. I think he either was then or had just stepped down as mayor. And they were consulted through town team and what have you, and they suggested places that they might go. So we have had that consultation. Obviously, there's been a long gap between applying for this and us getting the approval and now getting the trees delivered. But I'll fully consult through you and through Janet on this as well, in the environment group and what have you. What I would say is the Japanese embassy were keen on having sort of concentrations of the cherry trees rather than being one here, one there, one somewhere else. That said, it would be good if we could have them strategically placed in schools, for example. And I'm hoping to have the Japanese ambassador come along and do some planting when all this COVID stuff is over with.
Thanks, Tim.
They're actually a donation from the Japanese private sector industry through the embassy.
Janet?
Sorry, I was just going to explain to councillors how many we're getting. We're getting half as many as Alnwick Garden have. So that gives you an idea of how big it is. Alnwick Garden have about 350 in their cherry orchard. We're getting half of that amount of trees. Just to put a scale on that for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, is
Sorry,
that,
Jeff, do you want to finish?
I'll carry on. Are we cover the trees? Sorry, Councillor Reg.
Yeah, sorry. Who's planting those? Is that like the county council, or is that volunteers, or because I think they'll be quite large trees, won't they, coming in?
Oh, Linda's gone again. We're not sure what size they are, Peter. Until they arrive, we don't know. I have emailed RAF Boomer to ask if some of them could come down and help.
We have had an information sheet sent from the Japanese embassy, which I sent to Janet. If other councillors want to see it, I'm happy to send that out.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, Tim, that would be
We'll do, Jeff. Yeah.
Linda, you're back in charge.
I'm back again, yeah, sorry, it's never happened. It happened yesterday and it's happening again tonight, so my apologies. I'm going to get on to BT tomorrow. It seems to be them. Okay, so we're actually asked to note the updates from all of those.
I haven't finished, Linda, sorry.
Sorry?
I haven't finished, sorry.
Oh, I beg your pardon, I thought you had.
No, it's all right. I've got allotments, tree survey and Thomas Percy Wood to cover. I'll do it as quickly as possible. On the allotments, looking at the provision of water to St George's allotments, Tim was down there last week. I bumped into him and he was pacing out. We're going to try and get a cost from Northumbria Water to see whether it's feasible to put water on St George's allotments. So we'll keep you informed of that. We're also looking at the develop of unused land at Ratton Row, but because the land is not, it's been corrupted, hasn't it, Tim? So, well, we may have to have the soil tested before we make that available to make sure the soil's okay. Anything on allotments? Anyone? No. The tree survey, that's part of NVCAP 5. The tree survey is underway. Janet's done quite a bit of work on that. We're trying to access Northumberland County Council's data, but unfortunately it's not in a form that's easily accessed. But Janet's looking at that, so that's well in hand. And the final one is Thomas Percy Wood. That's the wood up above the old Thomas Percy, where the Thomas Percy School used to be. The Civic Society have expressed an interest in community involvement in that wood. So we've had a email discussion with Northumberland County Council. They've responded positively to that suggestion. The Civic Society have already done a litter pickup there, and they got quite a few bags of litter out of the wood. So we're trying to set up a virtual meeting with Northumberland County Council, David Shepherd and Barry Wilson, with Brian Lamb from the Civic Society, Janet and I, and hopefully we can push that forward. I think it's a good idea to get people who are keen to get involved should be encouraged. That's all I've got, Linda. Anybody,
Okay,
any
thank you very much. Peter Edge.
Yeah, just about Thomas Percy Wood. Now, I seem to recall, did ANAC Natural History Group or something do like a survey of all the plants and trees in there when it was designated? And I seem to recall at some point in the past there's a community action proposal to put in like signage or, enhance it in some kind of way from there. And I believe at some point in the past somebody might have got in touch about perhaps doing that, but I'd have to look at that. Is that sort of has that been brought up at all, Jeff?
No, I wasn't aware of that, Peter, but we can look into that.
If I do, I'll get that person in touch with you then.
Yeah,
and
my email address.
whatever. Yeah, and so that's fulfilled. Okay, no problem.
Bill.
Just a quick one. Are the Environmental Committee encouraged by the fact that Anne-Marie Trevelyan is now a climate change champion for the government? I have to say, looking at her voting record, it's a little ironic, but it should hopefully be a bit of a spin-off, as she's our local MP and she'll be representing the government at the climate conference in Glasgow next year. So is that encouraging?
It's very encouraging, Bill. We should have a huge benefit from Anne-Marie Trevelyan's renewed interest in environmental matters.
Yes, where did that come from? Amazing. A reward for loyalty, no doubt. But there we go.
I'll just make a little point that were it not for her, I think that open cast to Druridge would have gone ahead.
It would.
It'll all come out in the wash, Gordon.
And just on that point, I did ask her to get involved with this proposal of the new quarry, which is going to be about 2 miles south of Alnwick. And I was advised by her, I was told by her advisors that she doesn't get involved until after the planning decision has been made.
Oh, is that right?
So that's, but hopefully we can get her involved. She was very successful, Gordon, you're right, at leading the fight against that Druridge Bay monstrosity, and hopefully she'll be able to help us with
I think there's a couple of
fight
councillors
against
there,
the quarry. Sorry,
leading the fight, I don't think was actually a
well, yeah,
appropriate term to use.
She lent her weight.
She got involved at a
weight.
late stage.
Okay.
Let's not get
you.
political
Thank
here.
you very much, everybody.
Yes, she got it to the minister.
Thank you for all your work, Jeff, and I think it would be very beneficial to get other people involved in and give you some support and what have you. So I look forward to seeing that group expanding.
Well, can I just, one quick one, can I just thank Janet for all the work she's been doing? She's delivered some fantastic stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Janet. Okay, so we're to note those updates. Next item is item 10, COVID-19 support member scheme contribution. Now, this is the free school meal vouchers money that was devolved to Northumberland Council, who then have devolved it through the member scheme. And there's we had 4,000 because we have 2 county councillors. Each county councillor got 2,000 to distribute through their member scheme. We distributed 2,000. The other 2,000 was partly for Lesbury, who actually were happy for us to provide the services and the facilities for their residents as well. But there's 2,000 left over, and this really is to get views on how that money should be now distributed. There's been a suggestion that we direct it to the Alnwick Relief Charity. I've forgotten the full name of it. So your views would be welcome on this. Yes, Gordon?
Yeah, I'm not unmuted. Yes, I'm not unmuted. Thank you. Yes, this was the 4,000 that the council, before the government changed its mind, made available to through the county council, through members, if they had any left. And it happens, I had a bit left, and of course I argued successfully that Robbie Moore, who's not here, it's a 2-member ward, we should have 2 members' wards worth of money, and that 4,000 has come to town council. And I don't absolve myself, but I no longer have discretionary control over where it goes. That's now down to the town council, which is why I'm not going to argue that it must go anywhere I say. But can I say that I think it's a really good place to send it is to the Alnwick charity, because they have the means of knowing who needs it, whereas we don't necessarily know where it should go. And I've had a discussion today, you might want to know this, with Clive Gibbs of this food bank, because I wondered if they were desperate. But actually they've been very generously supplied with donations from the public. And what they're talking about doing now is actually enabling hard-up families, those with hardship, to have a good Christmas dinner in front of them. And that's what the food bank's up against doing at the moment. It wants me to tell you that. It would be unprofessional for them to say, yes, we could do the 2,000 because they're quite well off. Thank you. And I was thinking of using this money for that particular purpose. The money they've got, sorry, and the facilities they've got. So my view is the best place for this to go will be the Alnwick charity, because it doesn't just have to go for food, it can go for utility bills, or uniforms, all the kinds of things that cause hardship at families who are struggling at the moment. So that's my recommendation. I agree, if you want to consider it.
Thank you, Gordon. Peter, you had your hand up, and then I'll come to you, Sue.
Yeah, I was just going to give a little bit of clarity on the process, because obviously we find out that the monies were coming from the county council actually halfway through half term, and I think the board of principle was that some of that money should be used to help kids who were on free school meals but not at school, actually with any support they needed to eat during that period. So we made a decision to give £500 to the food bank and £500 to the community centre, both of whom are actually helped kids with food related things during that half-term period. So that was a decision we sort of had to make immediately. Alnmouth Parish Council and Lesbury Parish Council both got £500 as part of their part of that £4,000. So as Linda said, there's £2,000 there still to do something with.
Thank you. Sue.
I was just going to ask, sorry, could you just clarify what charity it's going? You were talking about, Gordon?
The Alec and Denick Relief Charity. I believe, Peter, do you chair it or are you just...
Yeah, so I will declare an interest. I'm the secretary of it. It's part of my role as a town clerk is to be secretary of the Alec and Denick Relief and Need Charity.
So it used to have the dreadful name of the Ragged School Foundation. And it's really, it was like, yes, I sat on it 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know you did, but...
And that money has gone to the Alec and Denick charity, which already had its own funds, is my understanding.
Why did it go to that one?
That's what because the board of the Ragged School Foundation decided to, the times have changed and it should go to an equally a charity that could do the same thing as it was intended, help with school uniforms and that kind of thing. And that's what the Alec and Denick charity does. Peter, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong about that.
Right. Okay. I just wondered what it did.
I think how often does it meet, Peter? Does it meet a couple of times?
It issues funds. It issues funds twice a year. Councillor Watson's a trustee of the charity as well. He may probably want to give some detail. Carry on, Jeff.
Yeah, just to say that the reason the money went from the Ragged School was because the Alec and Denick had the same objectives, or very similar objectives, and it was written into their constitution that if they folded, they would donate the money to a charity with similar objectives, and you'll find that's quite standard in most charities' objectives. I'm the town council representative on that board. If you recall, I think I've only been to one. We've been to one meeting, Peter. Yeah, we've been to one meeting, which was about a year ago, I think.
Thank you, Julia.
Could you, Peter or Jeff, just to clarify a little bit more how, if that money went to that charity, what the process is for accessing it? How does the decision making go in terms of recognising need?
Yeah, I mean, it meets twice a year, the charity. The part that's most linked to, I think, probably to what we're talking about here is the school uniform grants. So every year, I think we gave away about £500–600. Janet, you'll probably know the detail more than I this year to families in need. So it has some sort of process to actually assess whether these people are in need or not. From a town council point of view, we're not set up and we don't have the systems and processes in place to do that. So I'm slightly reluctant to the town council to take that on as a mean testing body for money to give out. But that charity certainly has some sort of process and application process to go through if people are in need of what money. They would have to do something slightly different to what they normally do in terms of school uniforms, but at least the process would partly be there.
People can apply to it, and I believe the schools actually, if they're aware that people are struggling or need some help, they can steer them towards it. And it's quite a simple application to apply, and then if it's deemed necessary, they're granted.
Can I come back? I had suggested, I think, in an email that some of my workers put me into contact with people who have been experiencing quite a lot of fuel poverty, and the form that often takes at the moment is that the people with, particularly with social housing tenancies, tend to have cards that they have to top up to get fuel. And it's not like many people who have actual accounts and contracts and direct debits. You know, so basically, if they're not on top of managing their limited money, then quite often they can literally go without any heat whatsoever, and that has been happening in Alnwick in the last weeks and months. So people at the bottom of the pile, and so one of the things I'd be really concerned about is that there's something that can be speedy enough to manage that. The other project that I'm aware of is run by the Citizens Advice, which is a fuel poverty scheme run by Citizens Advice, and what you get there is you have to apply, but you get vouchers. But at the moment, if once you've had vouchers from that scheme, you can't reapply for a year. But at the moment, you know, it's often the same people, a handful of people, or, you know, limited numbers of people who find themselves in this situation over and over again. I know that there's all kinds of issues linked to this, helping people manage debt and so on. So it's a complicated area. But fuel poverty as we come into winter, I think, overrides in some ways school uniform, where there's a lot of recycling and sharing and exchange schemes now that there weren't in the past. So I would really want to see some of this money go in that direction.
And how I mean, if people can't, because I came across fuel poverty issue during the last lockdown, and I don't disagree that we're supporting some of those people would be beneficial. So which scheme would you propose that we consider as having some of this £2,000? Because we can't do it, I don't think.
I'm not quite sure how the CAB offer. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
I'm not sure how the CAB operates at the moment. I mean, they do simply have an application process, and it's in place and it's quite speedy, but it's limited to, you know, one application per person per year. So I don't know whether them being given more resources would enable them to allow people to come back twice, say, over the winter, or you know, quite how it's financed. I don't know enough about it at this point, but I think it's worth exploring.
Okay. Martin Swinburne.
Well, just a couple of points. One is that we need to make sure, as the money was allocated for Alnwick, Almouth and Ledbury, that the people in Almouth and Ledbury in those areas are able to access whatever funding we have for this. But also, my suggestion would be that maybe between the mayor and the clerk, some more investigation is done about some of the methods here, because obviously it's going to be a bit tricky to do it tonight, and make sure we get that fuel poverty is well covered within this money that we have, because I think that is important, particularly in the winter.
Yes, Sue, Patience.
I was going to make a proposal actually, but maybe Martin is making more sense about kind of finding out more information first. But we haven't got a lot of time, have we? I mean, we've got these budgets and we haven't made a decision tonight, really. So how long do you think that would take to investigate? And
Can I just come in here, Sue? On that very point, I agree with you. We can't wait another month for a council meeting to make a decision, in my opinion. Yeah. I think we should delegate the decision to the mayor, deputy mayor and the clerk to investigate and make an appropriate allocation, as we've heard and discussed. Julia's points are well made, and I think that could be delegated, and we know what we want. And I think the general thrust is we need to have that money accessible more immediately than might be the case otherwise.
Yeah, I know it's your coming through the county, Gordon, but could we say, like, if you find out that kind of like the CAB, if we were to give them £1,000, say, which I was going to suggest, maybe halve it between the two charities, is that the CAB are made aware that, you know, kind of not made aware, but the town council has given this money for this very thing, and would it be easy to kind of for people to access that money quickly so that they could kind of top up kind of with their fuel cards and what have you, if you investigate that?
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, and that shouldn't take very long, and we should be able to get that going fairly quickly. And if not, if they couldn't guarantee that, there may be other charities, what they're called. Anyway, I think what I'm thinking of after the meeting, it's bound to come back to me. But another vehicle to get that money out there, especially around the fuel poverty issue. So if you're happy,
Proposal, Madam Mayor, do we need a proposal that we do that?
yes, please. I was just going to ask for that.
In that case, I'll propose just that.
Okay, second, Sue Alcroft. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, next is the scribe accounts, Peter.
Okay, yeah, this is a couple of months back now. I came to council to inform me that we were trialing an accounts package called Scribe. We're not entirely up to speed with it in terms of this year's accounts. There's an awful lot of data still to go in, things like the asset register and all the data, that baseline stuff that we need to put in. We're nearly there though. But our 3-month trial period is nearly up. And I would like to request that we actually procure this system for the council. The cost is an annual subscription of £790 a year. There are a couple of really big benefits. Number one, that it's a web-based system that can be accessed by multiple people. So Janet can be working on it, I can be working on it. We can work on it from home. It doesn't have, currently all of the financial information is on Janet's hard drive. The second big benefit and real sort of efficiency benefit is once the raw data is put in for a transaction in the financial management system, there's no manipulation of that data required after that. At the moment, if we want to produce a financial management report, or if we want to have to do final accounts, or if we want to have to do the VAT return, we have to actually manually manipulate information to do that. With this, we will put the information in the system and the reports will be generated. So it's a really big step forward. And on the back probably of, we now actually have internet banking, hurrah, getting the information online to be able to feed into that system is a really big step forward in terms of efficiency for us. So I'm recommending that we purchase that system from the council priorities budget.
Okay. Yes, Jeff, then Sue Alcroft.
And I just asked Peter if in a few years' time we want to switch to another account software package. How long do we have to sign up to this one? Is it an annual or 3 years?
Yeah, it's just an annual subscription, so we could stop at any time.
Okay, thank you.
Sue Alcroft.
Yeah, I've got to, I really have got to endorse this, because the efficiency that's produced by using a system like this will reduce the hours that the staff are having to work on all the accounts. And we've got so much going on at the moment, they need all the help they can get. Getting them on the banking has been superb. That's improved things. And this Scribe programme that Peter's described to me is excellent. So I'm all for it.
We're asked to approve the procurement of the Scribe account. So can I have a proposer for that? Peter Broom and Sue Alcroft. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Item 12 is the Constitution.
Yeah, this should hopefully be relatively quick. I sent everybody a document yesterday, I think, which is a consolidation of amendments to the Constitution that have already been made. It's just been tidied up and put into one document, so we've really got a starting point to perhaps do the refreshes on the Constitution and the update of the Constitution that we need to do going forward. So I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable that the Constitution represents the decisions that have been made over the last few years, perhaps haven't quite been tied up properly within the narrative of the version that you had previously. But like I say, hopefully this one is a good starting point to move forward. So just looking for approval that it does represent the changes that have been made in recent years.
Gordon, then Martin Harrington, then Linda Wood-Middleton, oh, there's lots, and John and then Sue. Okay.
If that is all we're being asked to do, approve this as the baseline to continue, that's fine, and I will do that, because otherwise we've got to have an opportunity to make comments. There are something I went through, 36 pages, I think, and there are 1 or 2 points I think need to be made, but not necessarily tonight. So this is the starting point, if that's what you're telling us. That's fine. It's a coherent package to begin with. That's fine. I'll propose that.
Okay, Peter, do you want to come back on
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely critical point, because there are lots of things I think that need to be changed in that constitution, things that needs to be clarified. But in order to do that, we need to have a solid base to move forward from. So hopefully this is that solid base.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak now that that's been proposed? Yes, Linda Wood-Mitchell. You're on mute, Linda.
Yeah, it's just a very small point, but I suppose it's a start. And I wondered if we could consider the good practice of not including etc. in the constitution.
I think there's lots of things like that.
It's a very small point, I know, but you know, it's something that it doesn't look good in a constitution.
There's quite a few things like that in it, Linda, that needs still to be.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. Martin Swinbank, and then Bill.
Just that it would make sense, I think, if we're going to do this, to clarify a kind of timetable going forward, to have a constitutional review, and obviously we've got elections in May, so it would make sense to try and do this before the next election round.
Yes, Peter, I was coming back to you anyway. Peter,
did Bill not want to speak?
I was just going to ask the same thing. I was going to ask how we do it, when we do it, etc.
Yeah.
Sorry, Linda.
That's okay.
No, it's a really sensible question, and I'll probably be able to advise more over the next couple of weeks when I get into some of the changes that we're going to need to make to the standing orders to adopt digital banking, and the gravity of that will probably influence how we do it. So it might have to go through finance and policy, or we might be able to set up a separate constitutional working group to go through that detail, or it might be a mixture of the both. But I'll probably know more by the time we get to the next meeting.
Okay, so can I have a proposal that we approve the format of the 2020 version of the Constitution?
I did propose it.
Oh, you did, Gordon, yes, and seconded by Jeff. All those in favour? Thank you. Agenda item 13, the meeting schedule, and we're asked to consider the meeting schedule and arrangements in light of the continuing pandemic. Do you want to take this, Peter?
Yeah, I think we started a discussion on the meeting schedule at the last meeting. Things have obviously changed since then, probably taken a backward step since then. We do have a meeting schedule through to the end of the financial year. There's a number of things we can do. We can just sort of agree to continue that online schedule till then. We can agree to review it on a monthly basis at the full council meeting. Or if you want to be even more flexible with that and react to things more urgently, you could delegate that decision down to the clerk and the mayor. But it's just to put that back on the table. Obviously, at the moment, I think we're stuck with online meetings. But at some point, hopefully before the end of the financial year, we might not be. And it's just how we make that decision to go back to normal meetings.
And just to point out, because I had a brief discussion with Peter about this before, if we agree to review it at a formal council meeting and things change in between times, it's going to be, that would make it difficult to react like we needed to when we've gone into full lockdown. This time things happen so quickly, so just to consider that. So do we want to consider, give me the options again, Peter, staying as we are with the schedule as planned, using virtual meetings till such time that we can review them with some confidence, review them at each full council meeting, or review them at the council meeting, but with the flexibility of being able to react to any decisions that are made, because on December the 2nd we will come out of the lockdown, but we will be going back into the tier system. So there'll be some changes around that before we get to the next full council meeting. Yes, Martin Swinbank.
Well, we have a system which works in the worst case scenario, which is what we've got now. I would suggest we review every council meeting going forward, just as an agenda item, and that kind of keeps us right. I don't think we're going to have a worst case scenario than we've already got in terms of running our council meetings virtually. So it's only if we can kind of improve that and move it back towards real life meetings.
Okay. Yes, John Humphreys.
Yeah, whether we go back to live meetings or not will depend to some extent on the venues, whether they're going to be open. So I think we obviously whatever decisions are made or suggested has to be, you know, in agreement with St James's Church, for example, or whatever. So that must be taken into account.
Okay. So can I have a proposal that we continue with the Zoom meetings until such time we can review them with confidence? Yes, Sue Allcroft and Martin seconded. All those in favour? Anybody against? Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, we're now to receive the minutes of the committees. Martin, you're first with Planning, Highways and Transport.
I didn't chair this meeting, but I think I can present the minutes because that's all we're doing. So to present the minutes of the Highways and Transport Committee of October the 15th, 2020.
Can I have a seconder for those minutes? Martin Harrington, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. And Sue, your turn next with Finance and Policy.
Yes, I'd like to present the Finance and Policy Committee minutes from 20th of October.
And can I have a seconder, please? Sue Allcroft, and all those in favour? So not Sue Allcroft, Sue Patience, I beg your pardon. Thank you. And John, Cemetery, please.
Yes, I'd like to present the minutes of the Cemetery Committee meeting held on Thursday, the 5th of November. And I'd like to just bring to your attention, attached to the back of the minutes, are the proposed fee structure for 21-22.
Okay, can I have a seconder? Yeah, Martin Swinbank, all those in favour that we accept these minutes? Thank you. Okay, item 15, financial matters.
Yeah, okay, so I've got three additional payments to add to the list that you have on your agenda. One for James McLean for £183, CBS for the town maps rate £75, and Town and Country Tree Surgeons for £2,160. So total this month, but bear in mind there's obviously a lot of grants on that sheet, to £70,907.43.
Thank you. So,
just looking for approval for that.
Yeah, I was on the wrong page.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, proposed by Jeff, seconded by Sue Allcroft. All those in favour? That's everybody, thank you. And your next one is investments, is that right?
Yep, it is. So I think a couple of months ago now, I reported that actually during lockdown, two of our investments matured. They're quite safe. They're sat in sort of holding bank accounts at the moment. I think councillors were a little bit shocked by the lack of interest we may get on the two pots. One's just over £100,000 and one's for £50,000. Yesterday I had a conversation with a county council officer who works in their Treasury department, just to get a feel for the kind of numbers that they were looking at in terms of investments. He shared with me their investment strategy, which was actually written prior to COVID, so the numbers in there are bigger than they are now in terms of the percentages that they were expecting. They obviously have a very mixed portfolio of investments over very short terms and very long terms, and all of their investments are in the tens of £1 millions rather than the relatively small numbers that we're talking about. But in the most sort of relevant category, prior to COVID, in their short-term investments, they were expecting to get about 0.75%. So that puts into context, actually, there's nothing out there. And one of the points that the officer did make to me, he said that if you are getting more than the 0.1 or the 0.2% that you've been quoted from your current investors, there will be a risk attached to that. So my proposal is that we renew the investments we have for 1 year, and then see what the marketplace looks like after that. On the back of it actually just being financially secure more than anything else. We're not going to make any money out of these investments, certainly not in the next 12 months.
So can I have a recommendation that we approve the reinvestment of the...
Sorry, can I just make a...
Sorry, Sue, yeah.
Yeah, I had the discussion with Peter this afternoon. To be absolutely and totally safe, we should have no more than 80,000 in each bank. And we discussed the idea of splitting the amounts across the two. One is with Santander, one is with the Lloyds Bank. I'd like to put that for consideration with everybody else. The larger amount is what we got for Swansfield Park for the maintenance. But the fact that if we split it, we still know that it's that part of the money would be in the other account.
Okay, thank you. Linda, did you have your hand up? You're on mute still. No? Okay, thank you. Peter Broom.
Right. Hi. The money that we've got put away for the Swansfield Park, how much is in there, Peter, did you say?
It's 102,000.
Right, because I've been having some conversations with Tim and Jeff about potentially increasing the play equipment at Swansfield from its current level for kids that are older. Now, if we put our money away for a year, then we kind of go ahead with anything that we're going to put forward at the next well, you know what I mean, recreation amenities meeting that's coming up.
All right, just to respond to that, Linda. Yeah, I mean, there's still nothing. If that money wasn't invested, there's still nothing to stop us from spending money, capital monies on some new play equipment, even in a context of us not trying to increase the precept. So we could actually raise the budget, but use reserves to pay for that, so the precept didn't go up. So there's lots of ways that we could do that, unless you're talking about a huge amount of money for play equipment. But if you're talking 20k, for example, then that certainly wouldn't be an issue, and we wouldn't have to worry about it in the context of investing the money this week.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, with that in mind, can I have a proposer to approve the reinvestment of the funds? Martin Harrington, seconded by Jeff Watson. All those in favour?
If there's nothing in Iceland.
Okay, thank you very much. And our final item tonight is any other urgent business. I'm going to go around the, I'll start with Peter Broom. Peter, have you any urgent budget business?
No, I haven't tonight. Thank you.
Lisa, have you any urgent business? Peter Edge?
No, nothing from me. Thanks very much, though.
Thank you. Julia? No. Martin Harrington? Martin Swinbank? Sue? I'll do you one at a time. Sue? Patience?
No.
Bill Grisdale?
No, no.
Gordon?
No.
Linda?
No, thank you.
Sue Allcroft?
No.
John Humphreys?
No, thanks.
Jeff Watson?
No.
Janet? Yes.
Somebody has to
get
score
round
into
there.
it,
I
don't they?
thought we were going to get round
Goodness
there.
me.
Didn't quite make it.
You're on mute, Janet.
Yeah, I know, I was just turning myself off. Yeah, sorry, it was just to make people aware. I had a phone call today that the government are sending letters out to people who are considered extremely vulnerable again. someone had received a letter. I only mention it because you may get phone calls from some of the people who we did prescriptions and help for before. Some of those people may well ring you back again. So you could just push them my way if they do. I've had one phone call today. He was specifically told not to go to the pharmacy. It was on the list of places he was not to go to. So it was just to make you aware. Peter and I will kind of keep an eye on the matter and just kind of, you know, how many phone calls we're getting. But at the moment, I'm just allocating them single volunteers. Oh, Linda's vanished. And we'll do it like that. So it was just really to make you aware, if you get phone calls, that's why, because people have had letters about, you know, not going out again.
Susan received a letter last Friday, actually. So they might be out already in droves, you know.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any urgent, any other business? No?
Fish and chips.
Seeing as Linda's not here, I'll close the meeting, Peter.
Hey, thanks
Bye,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.